America and the Philippines share a complex, challenging history. When America defeated the Spanish fleet in Manila Bay in 1898, Filipinos thought they had been liberated from Spain. But instead, America took the country as its own colony, purchasing the archipelago from Spain for $20 million. Suddenly, the same Filipinos who had resisted Spanish colonial rule now took up arms against the new colonial masters, the Americans. The Philippine-American War began in early 1899. By mid-1901, the last major rebel stronghold was the wild island of Samar. American troops occupied the coastal towns, choking off supplies to Philippine forces of leader Vicente Lucban in the interior. Townsfolk were caught between two demands of allegiance. Many cooperated on the surface with the Americans, while secretly supporting their brethren in the hills and jungles of the interior. In America, many were opposed to the colonization of the Philippines, believing it betrayed fundamental American values for the country to undertake imperial ambition of this type. But the anti-imperialists failed, and the war continued. In the coastal town of Balangiga, occupied by Company C, 9th U.S. Infantry, tensions grew as the Americans seized crops, killed animals, and imprisoned much of the male population. The townsfolk decided they'd had enough. An attack was planned. The attack came on September 28, 1901. Filipinos, armed only with bolos, swarmed the Americans while they were eating breakfast, killing 48 and causing the surviving members of Company C, many badly wounded, to abandon the outpost. Days later, American forces destroyed the town, taking as war booty 3 bells from the church. American General Jacob Smith then launched a campaign of retribution against the entire island of Samar. Villages were burned, thousands died as Smith gave the order, kill and burn, and instructed his troops to kill anyone over the age of 10 capable of bearing arms. Smith would later be court-martialed and cashiered. Meanwhile, Samar was in flames. The Philippine-American War would soon end, and for decades America would struggle in its role as colonizer. World War II brought shared sacrifice, and after the Philippines gained independence in 1946, a special relationship would continue, with the U.S. keeping military bases and Filipinos fighting beside America in Vietnam and elsewhere. Yet in spite of this special relationship, the bells, taken in 1901, would remain in American custody against the wishes of Filipinos who wanted them returned, and as time passed, against the wishes of many Americans as well. For decades, 2 men who have stood tall in seeking to educate the world on what actually happened in Balangiga in 1901 are Filipino professor Orlando Borinaga and British author and historian Bob Coody. The two have written the definitive books on the subject of Balangiga and have worked unceasingly over the years to bring home the bells. Now, through their efforts and those of many other Filipinos and Americans, the bells have at last come home. In Balangiga Honor and Sacrifice, Rolly Borinaga and Bob Coody will be on the ground in Balangiga. They will provide unique insight and perspective into what happened in 1901 and how the return of the bells 117 years later provides a unique moment for reflection in which an old wound has finally begun to heal and in which mutual dignity and respect at last may be possible.